insights and valuable perspectives on the subject. And we look forward to exploring how we can create more inclusive, fair, and conducive learning environment. So, before we begin, let me introduce our esteemed panelists. Right, so first of all, we have Mr. Muhammad Hafizuddin bin Abdurrahman, an experienced educator with a deep understanding of the challenges faced by students and teachers alike. We discuss school bullying and its impact on primary school classroom. Our second panel, Dr. Muhammad Haris Hanafi bin Muhammad Johari, a child psychologist specializing in socio-emotional development, will share insights on cultural diversity in the classroom and how it influences students' interactions and learning. And our last panel is Sir Muhammad Farhan bin Abdul Qadir, a passionate advocate for gender equality in education, is dedicated to breaking down gender stereotypes in the classroom, and he will explore strategies to create gender-neutral learning environments that empower all students to pursue their interests and aspirations freely. So, today, we will explore the numerous issues that is occurring in the primary school's classroom, its impact on students, and the steps we can take to address these issues. Okay, let's begin with Mr. Hafiz. He will share his insights on the topic of school bullying, its causes, effects, and potential solutions. Dr. Muhammad Hafizuddin, the floor is yours.
Thank you and good morning, everyone. It is an honor to speak on this important topic, one that profoundly impacts the well-being and future of our children: school bullying. The question that I wish to pose is this: is it fair for tomorrow's generation to inherit a world where harm and hostility can start as early as the playground, a world shaped by how we as adults address or ignore the roots of the issue? So here I am today, not just as a student teacher, but as someone deeply committed to the cause of creating safer and healthier learning environments. So bullying among students is a crisis in our education system, and it demands our immediate attention. Primary school children, in particular, are at a critical stage of development, whether it be physical, emotional, or social. So what they experience now will affect and shape their future. And that is why this issue cannot be overlooked. To begin, what is school bullying? So according to UNICEF, bullying is an intentional, repeated behavior by an individual or group to harm someone perceived as vulnerable, often involving an imbalance of power. And similarly, the American Psychological Association defines bullying as aggressive behavior in which someone intentionally and repeatedly causes another person injury or discomfort, whether it be physical contact, words, or other actions. So at its core, bullying is a deliberate attempt to harm others, regardless of the methods used. So bullying can take many forms. It can be verbal, where mean words, name calling, or taunts inflicts emotional wounds, or even social bullying, where it damages reputations and relationships. So this usually involves isolating victims or spreading rumors. And then physical bullying, which are often considered the most severe. It involves bodily harms or damaging someone's belongings. And finally, the modern and insidious form of cyberbullying, which uses technology to harass and humiliate. But no matter the form, the effects are profound and often irreversible. So for now, let's look at why does bullying happen. So the sad truth is that it often begins at home. Dysfunctional family environments, harsh parenting styles such as physical discipline, and authoritarian rules contribute significantly. So a study by the University of Porto's Epidemiology Research Unit found that while children from middle to high income families generally face less adversity, but when they do, the impact on their behavior is often more pronounced. This indicates that even a stable socio-economic background cannot shield children from the effects of a troubled home environment. Another contributing factor is the increasing media and gadget usage among children. Today's youth are growing up in a world saturated with violent and harmful content in their phones, their laptops, their social medias. So exposure to such material desensitizes them to violence and lowers their empathy, so leading to aggressive behaviors. So videos of fights, crimes, or other brutal acts are just one click away, shaping your minds in troubling ways. And now, let us consider the effects of bullying. So imagine us as a primary school students, 7 years old or 10 years old, it doesn't matter. But what matters is that we are now excited to go to school, right? This is our first day of school and we are going to meet our friends, our teachers, and we are so excited to study and to learn. However, the moment we first step into the classroom, we are faced with insults, laughter, people cackling at us, calling us names, teasing us. So how do you think we as a child will feel? Sad, yeah, sad. We will feel like, what's the point of going to school? We're not learning, we are just being made as a job, correct or not?
Yes.
So for victims, the impact is usually profound and long-lasting. It diminishes their self-worth, undermines their confidence, and fosters self-isolation. So many victims, they internalize the hurtful words and actions of bullies, believing they are the one inferior or unworthy. So this negative self-perception can lead to a lifetime of struggles, affecting their academic performance, relationships, and overall well-being. But we must also not forget that bullying does not just affect the victims, it can also impact the perpetrators. So children who bully others, they are at greater risk of developing antisocial behaviors that persist into their adult life. These behaviors include physical altercations, substance abuse like drugs, and difficulty maintaining healthy relationships. So without intervention, these patterns can lead to a troubled future for them. And given the severity of this issue, what can we do to address it? So first, schools play a pivotal role. Every school must implement clear anti-bullying policies and foster open communications among students, parents, teachers, and staff. So incidents of bullying should never be dismissed as mere childhood teasing. So each report of bullying must be taken seriously and addressed promptly. While this may require significant effort from our side or the school side, it is a necessary step to ensure that the safety and well-being of our children. And also parents also have a critical role to play. By setting boundaries on media usage and guiding their children's engagement with technology, parents can reduce exposure to harmful contents like just I said just now, violence and even violence. And conversations about empathy, kindness, and respect should be a regular part of family life. Like this will help children understand the impact of their actions and reinforce positive behavior. So, ladies and gentlemen, school bullying is a multifaceted issue that demands collective actions. So, me as a teacher, I firmly believe that it is our responsibilities as educators, parents, and members of society to work together and create a safer and more supportive environment for our children. They deserve to grow up feeling valued, respected, and free from harm. So we have to strive and shape a future where every child feels safe and supported, both in school and beyond. Thank you, that's all.
Thank you, Mr. Hafiz, for your insightful response. Now, Dr. Harris, as a child psychologist, you have worked extensively with children, right? And also seen how cultural backgrounds and diverse classroom settings influence their development, right? So one of the key areas that often overlooked is how cultural diversity impacts children's socio-emotional growth. From your perspective, how does exposure to diverse cultural experiences shape the way children develop emotionally and socially in the classroom?
Thank you, fellow moderator. So as an individual, I'm given the freedom to voice my opinion as a normal civilian in Malaysia. But what if I told you that even Chinese and Indians uphold the same rights as we do? having rights to prosperously enjoy life's simple pleasures. To me, as a psychologist, consider a classroom where kids from many nationalities, languages, and even customs come together to learn and to grow. Now, this is the strength of diversity in Malaysia, a strength that, when fostered, can provide many benefits to our society. Now, ladies and gentlemen, consider a classroom in which these descriptions serve as barriers to respect and understanding rather than a bridge to connect one to another. Wouldn't you want your child or yourself to study in such a setting? Considering the fact that we are living in a multiracial country, ladies and gentlemen, are we prepared to face the diversity of Malaysia's unique taste and culture? Would there be any issues in fitting Malaysians, us, into the safety of societal justice? Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to motivate you to recognize the importance of cultural classrooms in Malaysian schools, where the tolerance is encouraged and variety is a source of strength. Now, we can look at the statistics that are provided in the slides, which is the ethnic groups of Malaysia. Now, in the rankings, there are 5. The first one is Malay, which we can see the share of population of Malaysia reaches up to 50.1% of the population. The second one is Chinese Malaysians, which reach up to 22.6%. The third one is non-Malay Bumi Putra, or we call it other indigenous groups, which only occurs 11.8%. And Indian Malaysians cost around 6.7%, and other groups 8.8%. Now, this statistic I found it during World Atlas research during 2022, which they went and researched about the group ethics in Malaysia. Now, in the educational field, it is an even dire issue where we are seeing the barrier between one kid to another. As psychologists, we are focusing specifically on this issue. As Malaysia evolves, we must embrace classrooms that represent our multicultural identity, not only for inclusion, but also to raise a generation that values and celebrates variety. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before we proceed to our topic, let us first expose ourselves to the biggest role in shaping Malaysia's educational system, one that plays a significant role in not also decorating the canvas of students' vast curiosity with appropriate knowledge, but also in maintaining the sovereignty of our people. It is what we call the National Philosophy of Education, or known as NPE. Now, if we look at the slides, there are 5 system aspirations for the Malaysian education system. The first one is access, where we need to have 100% enrollment across all levels from preschool to upper secondary by 2022. The second one is quality, which top third of countries in international assessment, such as PISA, NTI, and ISS, in 15 years. The third one is equity, which we must reach 50% reduction in achievement gaps, which is involving rural, socio-economic, and even gender by 2020. And also unity, which is an education system that gives children shared values and experiences by embracing the diversity. The last one is efficiency, which is a system which maximizes students' outcomes within the current budget. Now, all of this will come up to the 6 points, which is bilingual proficiency, ethics and spirituality, national identity, leadership skills, thinking skills, and even to encourage kids to be more knowledgeable. Now, NPE, or in our language, Falsafah Pendidikan Kebangsaan, is a guiding idea that serves as the foundation for Malaysia's whole education system. The NPE, founded in 1988, displays Malaysia's goal for holistic educational development. The main purpose is to raise Malaysian citizens who contribute positively to society, have high moral standards, and feel a strong sense of duty to their country and abroad. Now, according to a research by a journalist who specializes in educational, so according to him, he said that a cultural classroom is a learning environment that actively understands, incorporates, and even celebrates its students' different cultural backgrounds. The concept itself emphasizes the need of providing a learning environment in which all students feel valued, represented, and even engaged through culturally appropriate approaches. Now, as we all know, Malaysia's unique history as a cultural melting pot has led us to a situation where our schools are originally organically diversified. Now, by realizing this, we may realize that cultural classrooms are a legacy of our heritage, something to treasure and to appreciate. Now we move on to the cultural classroom slides. Now, according to research that has been done by Mehmet and Erkan, they have made a research regarding the cultural classroom issues in schools during 2020. Now, by their finding, they said that it's seen that teachers have various problems in education contexts where students from different cultures come together, and also insufficient teaching experience, and also teachers' attitudes towards foreign students and grouping among students affect learning. Teaching processes will become more negative. The fourth one is the indifference of foreign students affects also the students' cognitive and affective skills. The last one is the fact that teachers also do not have a specific curriculum to manage the learning technique process in a classroom environment, but different cultures coexist, poses a major problem for them. Now, from this research, students from various linguistic origins may fail to comprehend the language of instruction, resulting in misconceptions and also difficulties in absorbing certain topics. This may also limit their capability to voice their demands and fully participate in class discussions. Now we've talked about our country, the Malaysian government has promoted multiculturalism in school through its national educational policy. Now this is more than just a response to our writing. It is a step towards unification. Consider this. If pupils grow up solely understanding their own culture, their capacity to interact with others from other backgrounds will suffer. In a multicultural country like Malaysia, and in our global community as a whole, this constraint can lead to misunderstanding, prejudice, and even missed possibilities for collaboration. Without the ability to effectively communicate across cultural divides, may I ask, how can individuals expect to succeed in a multicultural company or community? So this understanding is critical for establishing trust, encouraging teamwork, and resolving conflicts arising from opposing ideas. Students in ethnically diverse classes learn to appreciate different and, more significantly, to build empathy. They are not taught not only information, but also humanity. Now, just as I stated earlier, NPE plays a significant role in shaping today's generation and the next in prosperous developments of students. But let me clear myself here. The National Philosophy of Education, or NPE, in Malaysia aims to develop well-rounded, balanced individuals who are intellectually, spiritually, emotionally, and physically developed. Now this vision directly supports the idea of a cultural classroom. Now as psychologists, not only for teachers and educators, we are also aware of the JERIS framework. Now the JERIS framework, as we can see here, it involves the jasmani, emosi, rohani, intellect, and social. In English terms, it is the physical, emotional, spiritual, intellectual, and also the socialization. Now these framework represents values that inspire students or pupils to appreciate the cultural diversity. By basing our curriculum on these ideas, we are creating future citizens who cherish unity in diversity. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have another term for JERIS. May I ask you, have you ever heard of JERISAH, or known as JERISAH? So, according to Muhammad Jodi Salim, he is a journalist from the International University of Malaysia who specializes in educational leadership, which is under the Department of Social Foundation. So he stated that the JERISAH is actually a fundamental process or an alternative for JERIS, which is the component relates with FPK. Now it includes physical, emotional, spiritual, intellectual, socialization, and it involves two more, which is blameless and also servant of God, or in Islamic perspective, Khalifah. Now the JERISAH ability is to build a holistic and prosperous individual more on the religious side. Now high scores, they have made a research which serves servant of God, or Khalifah, to make up to 5.8186. And for spiritual, it's 5.7686. and emotional is 5.6471. Now we can tell that all of these are very important to create a Jerisa in order to develop well-rounded students who is fulfilled with religious manners. Now by emphasizing on implementing of FBK in the main of Jerisa, it is to create balanced, knowledgeable, ethical citizens for a national and international success, and also in the alignment of Malaysia's Vision 2030. Now, Jerisa is an acronym that refers to a comprehensive educational framework in Malaysia, notably in terms of Islamic education. It emphasizes the balanced development of all aspects of the student's personality. Now, the Ministry of Education also plays a crucial role in adapting to such situation. Now, according to Malaysia's Ministry of Education in his 2022 annual report under the Malaysian Education Blueprint of 2013 to 2025, this blueprint highlights strategic steps to promote inclusive education, ensuring that every kid, regardless of backgrounds, feel comfortable in their classroom. Schools around Malaysia raise cultural awareness through ethnic festivals, cultural exchange programs, and even student-led activities. Now we have come to the conclusion of my insights. Now to summarize everything, cultural classrooms are not only an ideal, it is a requirement. They lay the groundwork for our students and our people to become the people who understand and welcome variety, see the richness in differences, and cherish each individual's opinions. Now these classrooms demonstrate a dedication to raising a generation that is sympathetic, open-minded, and capable of prospering in an increasingly global society. By creating such environment, we provide our students with the tools they need to engage intelligently, communicate effectively, and solve challenges cooperatively, regardless of their cultural background. That will be all for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Harris, for your valuable insights. Right, I want to ask Farhan, as an advocate for gender equality, gender stereotypes often go unnoticed in everyday classroom interactions, yet their impact can be profound on student development and aspiration. From your perspective, what specific steps can educators take to challenge and break down these ingrained gender stereotypes in the classroom? How can teachers create a space where all students feel encouraged to pursue their interests regardless of societal expectations tied to their gender?
Okay. Very good morning, everyone, and thank you, fellow moderator and the audience, for being here today. It is an honor to share this opportunity with all of you today. So, now try imagine yourself in the classroom, very excited right now, eager to learn. The teacher asks for volunteers to set out for an experiment, and immediately a few boys raise their hands. The teacher smiles and selects one of them, telling the girls to stay seated because he said this task might be a bit too messy. But later, during story time, the teacher asked for help organizing the craft supplies, looking at the girls and saying, "You are so neat and organized. You are perfect for this job." Though seemingly harmless, moments like these certainly tell children what roles they are expected to play based on their gender. Research shows that children's attitude towards gender are fully formed by the age of 7, when they latch into stereotypes as a way to categorize and make sense of the world. So gender inequality in the classroom is not always obvious, yet it can shape a child's understanding of their abilities and place in the world. Today, we will explore the factors behind this issue, the lasting impact it has, and the steps we can take to build a fair and inclusive classroom for all. So let us go into the factors of gender inequality in the classroom. First of all, we have is gender stereotypes, so how boys and girls are treated. So one significant contributor to gender inequality is classroom is gender stereotypes, which can strongly influence students' learning experiences and also their confidence. These stereotypes often suggest that boys are naturally better suited to subjects like mathematics, science, physical activities, while girls are expected to excel in languages, arts, and roles like nurturing. Teachers and peers may often unconsciously reinforce these ideas. This means that girls are celebrated for their emotional openness in school, while boys are seen as likely to mask their emotional distress through silence or destructive behaviors. For example, boys might be assigned to lead physical tasks or problem-solving activities, while girls might be encouraged to help with classroom chores. When these expectations are repeated, they restrict the students from exploring a wider range of skills and also their interests, reinforcing gender norms that don't reflect the individual's abilities. For example, let's take girls, for instance, may feel discouraged from engaging with fields like engineering or advanced mathematics, believing that they are male domains, while boys may avoid subjects such as literature or dancing or the arts because due to the fear of judgment, especially in this era. These stereotypes limit students' growth and create self-doubt inside them, making them feel less capable in areas perceived as unsuitable for their gender. Promoting an inclusive classroom environment that encourages all students to pursue these interests freely, regardless of their gender, is essential in order to curb this issue. So let's go into the next factor, which is teacher bias. So teacher bias can also have a significant impact on students' learning experiences and self-confidence. For example, teachers might unconsciously call on boys more frequently in subjects like STEM. We all know what STEM is. While encouraging girls in language subjects, reinforcing the perception that boys are better suited for technical fields and girls for humanities. So, according to a research, gender stereotypes are sometimes hidden in school routines and practices. What do I mean by this? For example, let's take disciplinary measures that can be also varying by gender, with boys sometimes facing harsher punishments for disruptive behavior, while girls might experience more leniency. So, reinforcing certain behaviors and deterring others. Research shows that teacher expectations and responses directly influence students' academic and self-esteem and their willingness to participate in various activities. When teachers unintentionally or not show a preference based on gender, it sends a message to students about their so-called appropriate roles and abilities, limiting their self-perception and potential. So let us go into the impact of gender inequality in the classroom. So the first impact is limited career aspirations. While this is about primary school, this is also their future, right? So the impact of early gender inequalities in education can extend well beyond the classroom, like I said, often affecting students' future career aspirations and their opportunities. When gender stereotypes are reinforced into the school, they influence how students view different career paths, potentially shaping what they believe is appropriate and achievable for the gender. This has resulting implications with fewer women in science and technology, engineering and mathematics fields, and fewer men in teaching, health, and also social workforce, according to UNESCO. This restricted exposure to a broad range of students and subjects and skills can limit students' ambitions, making them less likely to explore their full potential as a human being. Over time, these biases contribute to career gender gaps where certain professions are heavily dominated by one gender only. For instance, let's take engineering and technology fields. We might see continuous higher male presence, while caregiving roles may be dominated by females. Encouraging a diverse and inclusive learning environment can help students overcome these limitations, allowing them to pursue careers that match their interests and skills rather than their gender. This shift not only benefits individuals but also leads to a more balanced and diverse workforce. So the next one is social divide. So you might ask, what is social divide? In name, say divide. So in our society, they will divide girls and boys into two groups. So gender inequality in the classroom can create a social divide between boys and girls. So you can see it starts in the classroom itself, leading to cliques and limiting friendships across genders. In many societies of the world, the prevalence of negative stereotypes regarding women is widespread due to the segregated nature of the society. So in society, we see like in our societal norms, we see women is divided with men. So when students are frequently grouped or treated differently based on their gender, they may begin to see each other through restrictive stereotypes, which discourages cooperation and also their mutual respect. This divide impacts their teamwork, making collaboration in group activity less effective and limiting students' opportunities to learn from diverse perspectives. So, additionally, the separation disrupts the development of empathy and understanding as students miss the chance to connect and relate with one each other beyond gendered expectations, like between girls and boys. Growing up in an environment that emphasizes these distinctions can influence how children view and interact with others in adulthood, potentially reinforcing gender biasness in their personal and professional relationships. By fostering classroom culture that encourages friendships and teamwork across genders, educators can help students build respect, empathy, and collaboration skills. Over time, this inclusive approach reduces the impact of gender stereotypes and supports a more united and understanding and thoughtful community. So let's go into the how to solve this problem, the prevention to this issue. The first of it is gender equality awareness. So like it starts in classroom. So yeah, teachers have a duty to have a gender disparity approach, so that we explain to our learners all of their capabilities and enable them to fulfill their potential as people and not as silos of boys and girls separately. So they said that teachers must teach all the genders to have their own skills and their own interests, not following their genders. So schools and educators can introduce workshops, reading materials, and discussions aimed at challenging traditional gender roles and encouraging students to think critically about biasness. For instance, presenting stories or real-life examples and also role models who defy typical gender expectations can inspire students to see possibilities beyond stereotypes. By discussing the impact of gender bias openly, students become more aware of how these stereotypes shape behavior, attitudes, and career aspirations. So these activities help students recognize their own assumptions, fostering a more inclusive and respectful outlook. When educators make room for conversations that address gender equality, students feel empowered to support fairness and respect for everyone, no matter the gender, both within the classroom and their daily lives. Over time, this approach will build a foundation for a more inclusive mindset, equipping students to contribute to a world where individuals are valued for their abilities and interests rather than restricted by gender expectations. So the last solution to this issue is we can have a mixed gender collaboration. So what do I mean? Promoting mixed gender collaboration in classroom activity is one of the effective ways to address gender inequality and foster inclusivity in the classroom. So for example, we can assign projects that require students to work in diverse teams, allowing them to appreciate differences in their perspective and their abilities, regardless of the gender. So this encourages them to challenge stereotypes and develop mutual respect as they learn to rely on each other's strengths. Through these interactions, students build valuable teamwork and communication skills that will benefit them in the future workplaces, where inclusivity and collaboration are essential. So mixed gender activities are also provided a safe environment for students to practice equality, breaking down preconceived notions about gender roles. Over time, these experiences can help form a strong foundation of respect and understanding, positively impacting students' social relationships, academic performance, and future career aspirations. By consistently implementing mixed gender collaboration, teachers contribute to a more balanced and equitable learning environment, preparing students to thrive in diverse and inclusive settings. So, let's conclude this. In conclusion, addressing gender inequality in primary education is essential for fostering an environment where every child feels valued and capable. By recognizing and dismantling the stereotypes and biasness that limit students, educators can help all students reach their full potential. As we have discussed, small actions like raising awareness of gender equality and encouraging mixed gender collaboration can make an awareness in creating inclusive classroom. So let us commit to cultivating an environment where children are free to explore their interests and challenge without the constraints of gender bias. By doing so, we prepare them to engage confidently and fairly in the diverse and equitable world. So to close my explanation, let's see a quote from Susan P. Anthony. He said, "Men, their rights and nothing more; women, their rights and nothing less." So thank you for your cooperation.
Thank you to our esteemed panelists for sharing your invaluable insights with us today. So we've explored believe that discussions like these are most impactful when they involve everyone. So let's open the floor for your questions. Whether you have something to ask to one of our panelists or a comment you would like to share. This is your chance to engage questions.
I have a question for Mr. Hafizuddin. As a concerned parent, I am deeply aware of the dangers and lasting impact of school bullying can have on a child's mental well-being. However, I would like to ask, what are the specific signs or behavioral changes should parents and teachers be vigilant about to identify if a child is experiencing mental health struggles as a result of being bullied? Additionally, how can we differentiate it between typical childhood challenges and more serious indicators that suggest a child may be in distress due to bullying?
Good question. So it's an important and insightful one, as we have to identify whether a child is struggling mentally due to bullying, and as parents and teachers, we need to be attentive to the signs of distress. So the first one to look out for is emotional changes. Children who are being bullied may show significant shifts in their emotional state. For example, a child who is usually cheerful may suddenly become sad, withdrawn, or anxious. They might express feelings of fear or hopelessness that were not present before. Emotional outbursts like frequent crying or irritability can also be a sign of bullying. It is important to remember that children at this stage may not always have the words to articulate their thoughts, so their emotional state may be the first indicator that something is wrong. And next, we must also consider physical symptoms. Bullying can affect a child's physical health as much as their emotional well-being. Children who are mentally struggling due to bullying may complain of headaches, stomachaches, or other aches and pains without any clear medical cause. So these physical symptoms are often stress-related and can be a manifestation of the emotional burden the child is carrying. In some cases, sleep disturbance may also arise. The children might have trouble falling asleep, they experience nightmares or struggle with oversleeping as they try to escape the emotional pain of bullying. And then we have also looked at changes in eating habits. So, for example, the child may be eating too much to comfort them or losing appetite, which signals distress. And lastly, we need to pay attention to behavioral shifts. Children who are struggling with bullying may exhibit changes in their normal behavior. They might avoid school or social activities that they once enjoyed. They might be perhaps pretending to be sick or making excuses to stay home. So this avoidance behavior is often a protective measure that they use to escape the environment where bullying occurs in the context school. So social withdrawal is an important sign. A child who once enjoyed spending time with friends or family, they may now isolate themselves, spending long hours alone.
Thank you for that.
So, Dr. Harris, as a child psychologist, how do you suggest addressing the emotional effects of gender stereotyping on boys who may feel pressured to act in certain ways to conform to societal expectations?
Thank you for the question. I'm emphasizing not only for the gender, but I will also emphasize on the cultural context. Now, I want you to remember that it is crucial to create spaces where all students feel comfortable expressing emotions and vulnerability without judgment. Now, this could be done through classroom discussions, stories, and even activities that normalize emotional expression for everyone, regardless of gender and culture. Now, teachers can also encourage students to explore non-traditional roles in arts or caregiving activities. Now, this will allow them to develop emotional intelligence and also empathy. Additionally, parents should be encouraged to be a model for healthy emotional expression and also to support their children when they challenge gender norms.
More question?
How can school address unconscious bias in teachers, especially in situations where educators may unintentionally reinforce gender roles through their actions or words?
Okay, thank you for your question. So the first step in addressing unconscious So schools can organize training sessions or workshops to help teachers understand what unconscious bias is and how it can affect their actions and words. These sessions can highlight how even small things like using certain phrases or assigning tasks based on their gender might reinforce stereotypes without teachers realizing it. So, school can also create an environment where teachers feel safe to talk about bias openly. This can include having regular discussions or meetings where teachers can share their experiences, ask questions, and learn from one another. By fostering this kind of supportive and honest atmosphere, schools can help teachers work together to create a classroom where all students feel valued and treated equally, regardless of the gender.
Any more questions from the audience?
For Dr. Harris, you have worked in many culturally diverse classrooms. How do cultural backgrounds influence children's social-emotional development, and what role does this play in how they interact with their peers?
That is a very great question. Now, cultural backgrounds significantly shape children's socio-emotional development, particularly in how they understand and express emotions. In certain cultures, emotional restraint is highly valued, while in others, being expressive is encouraged. For example, children from cultures that emphasize collectivism might prioritize harmony and group cohesion. They may avoid conflict or suppress their emotions to maintain peace, which could impact their ability to deal with challenges openly. Now, on the other hand, children from more individualistic cultures may feel more comfortable in expressing their emotions openly. Teachers in culturally diverse classrooms need to be aware of these cultural differences and provide an inclusive environment where students feel safe to express themselves in ways that respect their cultural values while also encouraging them to develop healthy social skills and also emotional resilience.
So I have another question to Mr. Hafiz. So as an educator, I have faced the issues of school bullying. So as such, I'd like to ask, what do you think is the most effective way to discipline or rehabilitate students who engage in bullying behaviors, ensuring that the approach is both corrective and also educational? So additionally, how can we as educators effectively address the underlying causes of bullying behavior in perpetrators to prevent recurrence and promote positive change?
The most effective way to discipline or rehabilitate students who engage in bullying behaviors. In my opinions and experience, the most effective approach combines restorative approach with educational intervention. So restorative practices, they focus on accountability and repairing the harm caused by their actions. So these restorative practices, such as mediated dialogues with victims, they help the bullies or perpetrators understand the harm they have caused and foster empathy. So at the same time, consequences must be educational rather than punitive. So detention or suspension alone may not address the root causes of the behavior. Instead, educational consequences like community service, anti-bullying workshops, or anger management programs, they will teach constructive ways to handle conflict. This will ensure accountability while promote personal growth. Now, to address your second question, how to address the underlying causes of school bullying, right? So we have to understand the root cause, like unmet emotional needs or exposure to violence. Schools, they can provide counseling and create tailored intervention plans to address these issues. So programs like social emotional learning or SEL program can teach empathy. So they teach empathy, self-regulation, and healthy communication skills, which helps students to build positive behaviors. By supporting individuals and their needs and fostering a respectful school culture, we can reduce bullying at its source. Yes.
Any more questions? No? Okay, so I guess that is the end of our Q&A session. Alright, so thank you for the wonderful participation. As we come to the end of our today's forum, I would like to take a moment to reflect on the valuable insights shared by our esteemed panelists. Okay, so throughout today's discussion, we have learned that addressing educational issues in young learner classroom is not just about overcoming challenges. It It's about creating environments where every child can thrive. Whether it's tackling bullying, supporting emotional growth, or fostering respect for cultural diversity, the efforts we make today will shape the learners of tomorrow. I would like to thank our panelists once again for their expertise and for contributing to such an engaging and insightful forum. I also want to express our appreciation to the audiences for your thoughtful questions and active participation. It's clear that we all share a commitment to enhancing the educational experiences of young learners, and I am confident that with continuous effort and collaboration, we will make significant strides toward this goal. With that, I would like to officially close today's forum. Thank you all for being here.